Hey there, this is Malorian, and this will be a Paintisode. And I don't know what's going on here, but it's showing me as being like all blue. We've already started off some crazy, I must have pushed some crazy button or something, I don't know. But, there we go, it's all fixed. But anyway, what's going to be happening here is just go and grab your paint. So, I mean, this is not supposed to be a thing so much that you're supposed to be watching my hands himself. You're supposed to be grabbing your paints and painting along, and we'll be talking about a few things. And we'll see where we go from there. So this is now the new time. I did put out a kind of like an announcement for the last one saying that the whole Monday Paintisode thing wasn't really working out. The reason for that is that my wife runs kind of like these, if I call it scrapbook, I'll be in trouble. It's this mixed media that she does on Mondays, runs classes, and because of that, it's really kind of interfering, right? Like they're just up there, they're hearing me talk, and we're trying to work around each other. And then when they come over, some of them are wives of my gaming buddies, so I want to do a game instead. And this way, Mondays work out, and then Tuesdays, after I go do my Cub Scout stuff, because I'm a Cub leader, I get to come back here and it's Paintisode time. So it just kind of works out perfect. So anyway, that's the reasoning why we're going to be changing. Hopefully it won't be too bad for most of you. What I'm going to be painting today is I'm going to be painting Baldur 2. Now, this is a model that's been giving me trouble for a while, and the reason why it gives me trouble is the whole idea of stone versus metal. Now, when I'm painting up Signar, it's like, man, what should I paint this guy? Well, he should be metal because it's a robot and he's going to be metal, right? I basically just go silver everywhere and do details and everybody's happy. Then you come to Circle, and Circle is kind of like the druids and all that type of stuff. And yeah, the thing is, like, some of their stuff makes sense. Like, okay, I think that's going to be metal. And at other times, okay, that's stone. And then when you get to a guy like Baldur, it's like, well, should that really be stone or really be metal? So, I mean, when we look at the model, his sword is supposed to be like a big thing of stone. So I made that stone. That's easy. And then when I looked at the model, I thought, you know what? All these other plates on him, I'm just going to make that stone too. Because why not? He's kind of like, yeah, control the stones. And it kind of makes sense. But I did the first shoulder pad. And having a stone shoulder pad kind of looked dumb. I kind of got that color on there. Like, for starters, the first thing that threw me off is, as you can see there, I did everything green first, so that when I did the gray on top, it'd still be green underneath. But those indents are so small that it kind of filled everything in. So, I don't know. Like, what would you make it? Would you make it metal or do you make it stone? I mean, I just think how heavy that would be. Thick plates of stone up on your shoulders and all over you. It's not even that great of protection, right? Because probably whenever it gets hit by anything significant, this is just like a little slab of stone that's on the side here, and if that's stone, it's gonna break. Then again, it's magical and has runes in it, so maybe that helps out too, but I don't know. Seems a little bit weird. And when he's all gray like that from having stones all over him, just might look a little bit silly. But then again, he has a sword made out of stone, so I think we're gonna stick with it. First thing I have to do is re-add the green from where I went over with it. Now, normally during this time, I'll be answering the questions for the post I put up before this, but I won't be doing that today because I didn't put up the post yesterday. It was more just the announcement. I have a few other things I want to talk about. Some people sent in some pictures to me. That's awesome now. I never really had that before. Somebody sent it once, and now I got a bunch of pictures that people sent last time of things that they painted. So that was really nice to see. And then as well, I do have one question that was still sent in to me, so I'll be touching on that. And also, I'm going to be talking a little bit about Grotscon. Grotscon is a major tournament that we have out here in Western Canada. Pretty much the biggest one. Yeah, it's not even pretty much. It is the biggest tournament in Western Canada. And things are really starting to come together for that, right? Tickets are all booked. The hotel's booked. I got my team made for the team event, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about my lists and what my plans are for that because it's not too far away. Right now we just got another week left of March, and this is going to be April 17th to 19th. So it's right around the corner. So anyway, I want to start with the question that I got sent in. And also, we're going to see whether this is going to be another cough-isode. I'm still not fully healed. My lungs are still a big problem. And so my drink for today is not Sambuca. It's actually going to be tea. Chocolate hazelnut tea that I got for my birthday. And I got to say, I've had some chocolate teas before because I love chocolate. I'm crazy for chocolate, which is probably why I'm gaining so much weight. But I've tried some chocolate teas in the past, and they've been gross. They just don't really work. So this one here, it smells okay, but we'll give it a try. We got to let it cool down first, but just know that we might be playing the drinking game again where every time I cough, I got to take a drink. So what this comes from is from David Williams, and it's kind of a long one here. It says, okay then, first off, let me say that I've been playing War Machine for almost a year now. I play Signar as a faction, and Peace Striker, East Striker, and now Sturgis as Warcasters. As far as Weapon Masters go, Signar seems to be lacking. I know only of the Stormblade Captain as the faction's only full-time melee Weapon Master. Well, okay, melee Weapon Master. I thought Sloan, but that's a shooting Weapon Master. And you got Brutals in there, but again, that's shooting Weapon Master. Yeah, I mean, that's not really Signar's jam. We have the Precursor Knights, which are pseudo Weapon Masters, because we could pop our mini feat and get extra damage dice. So that's basically Weapon Master for a turn. But normally, yeah, that's not really Signar's thing. I know that Sword Knights can be Weapon Masters with a Jack around them because they have flank. That's true. But that can be situational at best. I don't know. I was just playing that game. The Battle Report is up where I ran the 5 Centurions and 2 units of Sword Knights. And, you know, when you get those big Jacks in there with reach, and as long as you time it right. So, I mean, for me, normally I'd be flooding the Sword Knights in front. And so they do the first wave, and it doesn't really work out like you say, where they get the attacks. But when I have them as a flanking force, then all of a sudden the Centurions can go up and then they can flank in. It's like, wow, this is actually something that's happening. So you can make it work. Anyway, I'm kind of not getting to the question. Our range game has more Weapon Masters with Sloan. Here we go. Gun Mages, Black 13th, and to a lesser degree, yeah, the regular Gun Mages and the Blazers. Am I missing anyone? Because it seems that most of the other factions have a plethora of Weapon Masters to me anyway. What can be done to offset by getting creamed by Khador Protectorate? I'm a purist, so I want to stay with Khadorian troops, but I have considered getting a few mercenary solos, though. Any help would be kindly appreciated. Super solos is a catchphrase that I don't understand as well as I'd like you to please explain it to me. So first of all, about the whole thing about Weapon Masters, and does Signar really need Weapon Masters? And the short answer is no. Weapon Masters is an interesting part of War Machine that makes it more variable. Normally, you just love to have a higher power, right? Because why roll an extra dice when you can just know that I'm going to be rolling a 3 every time and be stronger? And that's really kind of what we have. The best example of that is the Sword Knights. Now, sorry, Storm Blades. Now, Storm Blades are a unit that are much maligned by a lot of Signar generals, but they're actually very, very decent. When you get your Yuan there and they're doing their assault shots with all these things, but they're also very high POW. Maybe I'll grab the cards to make sure I'm not going to be a liar. But if we look at our Sword Knights here, because I hate to lie on this. Welcome to the Malorian show where I just lie to you all the time. So yeah, their weapons are POW 13. So already it's like, okay, regular troops are POW 10. So this is like if you're a Weapon Master and always roll the 3, okay, that's what we got here. However, it's even better than that because with them, if you're close to the leader, which I mean, as long as you're staying as a group, you will be, you get +2 to that roll. which means that you're basically P plus S 15. That means you're a weapon master. That extra dice is a 5 all the time. So I mean, Stormblades are very amazing for the pack that the punch that they shell out, and are so often all the time like, oh yeah, the Stormblades are so garbagey. And I mean, you have to be within 5 inches. It really isn't that far, right? But at the same time, it's a bubble. So I mean, you got your leader in the middle, and you got 10 inches around. Where as long as they're there, you get +2 to the range of your ranged attacks, and +2 to the melee and range attack damage rolls. So again, that's what makes them effectively have POW 14 shots and POW 15 blades. I mean, right there, I mean, there's your weapon masters that are rolling a 5 all the time. Then, of course, I already said precursors. That's just for 1 turn. But then again, it can be argued that normally in a game, it's the 1 turn that counts. There can be grinding out combats, but it's usually that big charge where you want to go in there and do lots of damage. And guess what? That's when you pop your mini feat. So again, Cygnar kind of has their weapon masters there as well. You already brought up the thing with the Sword Knights. That could be part of it too. But in the end, the main thing that comes up for Cygnar is you can compare them to factions like Khador, but then again, keep in mind that everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses. You don't want every faction to be exactly the same. And so a big thing that Cygnar has going for them is they're kind of more about the range game. So, I mean, maybe you don't like that. Maybe you want to make a more melee-centric Cygnar list, and that's fine. Just realize that you are going to be a little bit limited, especially if you don't want to be going to mercenaries. Now, I'm sure, I mean, everybody's just yelling like, oh, of course, Cygnar has weapon masters are called Forge Guard. But again, if you want to stay away from the mercenaries, okay, you don't really have it then. Or you could be talking about press gangers with Hawk and all that stuff. But again, Cygnar, more of a ranged faction, or if anything, kind of like a mixed arms type thing. So pew, 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 and then you charge in and kill. And yeah, I don't think that's a big problem at all. Okay, so now the other part of the question was, what is a super solo? Now, this, of course, we know what solos are, right? We got our jacks, we got our units, and then we got our solos. And sometimes people say that a certain something is a super solo. And when they're talking about that, it's usually a caster. It's a caster that is doing so well that it's going to be going out there and just getting able to do everything by themselves. And this happens a lot more in War Machine because you can just camp all your focus, raise that armor to the point where you can't really be hurt, and then they can just go crazy and kill stuff. So a good example of a super solo in Cygnar would be something like Epic Kane. He doesn't need anything else. Like normally the casters are there to support the other things. Well, Epic Kane is like, no, this focus is mine, and I'm just going to keep shooting. Pew, 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 pew. Okay, next turn. Pew, 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 pew. And that's what Epic Kane is going to do. Another example of that could be kind of Constance, where Constance is wanting to use her focus to really buff herself up, have high armor, and kill things off. You could also say that Sloane is kind of more of a super solo, where she's doing her 2 sniper shots, a little bit of buffs, but she's doing that work herself. To kind of show the opposite, a model, say like Striker 1, would not be a super solo. Striker 1 just wants to stay back and be safe and put out the buffs. You said that you also ran Striker 2. Striker 2 would be a super solo. You could run him as a buffing caster, but he really just want to hold on to all that focus so his armor's up high, and then he's just going to be cranking guys and kill them as he wants. Sturgis is kind of in between. Again, he has all the spells where Sturgis could be a support caster, but just imagine if you threw on what's it called? Arcane Shield. If you remember the spell for a second. If you threw Arcane Shield on the Sturgis, and then he just camped a lot and kind of like charged into infantry, and it was like, hit you, kill, Electro Leap, kill that guy, buy another attack, hit you. Like he can start shredding infantry by himself and work independent from the rest of the force. And that's really a super solo. Now, it's not really super solos are better or worse than their counterparts. It's more you got to make sure you build the army around it. For example, you have to know that if you're running a super solo, that they're probably going to be using all their focus. And so you don't want to be taking jacks that need big investments. You want jacks like Old Rowdy that can run by themselves and charge but for free and don't need any input. Or maybe something like you want to be taking something very simple, like, oh, I'm just going to take a sentinel or two, and they're just going to follow me around and do some shield guards while I do all my killing and fun stuff there. A good example of that, again, would be with Constance. She would be doing that with Gallant, and Gallant's just going to follow along and like shield guard and, you know, do his thing while Constance takes all the focus and does her thing. So it really, you have to realize what your caster is, or even if they're dual ability, deciding which way you're going to play it, and then building the list around that. So there you go. Interesting and good questions. Hopefully, I mean, obviously next time I'll be trying to get more on there as I pick some food out of my teeth. If you're watching here, I did change things up with my mics. I know last time it was the bad mic that was working. So if you guys can make a comment, let me know that it's this one here is working. That'd be awesome. Plus, whatever you want me to talk about, let me know, because then I can talk about what you want. So with that being said, I'm actually going to start painting my model. Maybe try some of this chocolate tea. Nope, gross. That's the problem. I mean, chocolate is delicious, but it's not a liquid. And this here, it has that tea taste. You know, just imagine if you took chocolate and decided to eat it with a leaf, and that's really the taste you get. And that's why everyone's like, oh, Brian or Malorian, he loves, I might as well say Brian, he loves tea. Let's go and give him this chocolate tea. And then it's always kind of gross. But hey, it's hot and it's going to make me feel better. Oh, man. Gyros. All right. So I was also going to talk about how I got some pictures sent in. And so one of them is from Chance Encounter. He's been working on his 40K, and that's awesome. I mean, the fact that somebody who is playing 40K still takes the time to watch my show, that's great. I'm going to call it a devilfish because there's no real weapons on it yet. So I'm going to assume it's a devilfish. But he's been working on that, and it's getting really close. Yeah, he just calls it a Tau tank. So maybe he's just keeping it open, and he can set up however he wants. And there's another one here, too. We did tons of stuff. Hope I didn't delete that. Oh, no. Oh, here it is from Christopher Murphy. And he has a ton of gators here. And they're really interesting because they're blue. So, of course, with my gators, I decided to make them different. I decided to make them pink. And all of a sudden, you got these blue gators. And it's almost like salamanders, right? You get those blue salamanders. So it's kind of like that. So thank you for sending these in. I love seeing what you guys work on while you watch me ramble on and cough and, you know, usually make a fool of myself. Actually, meanwhile, I have this. I should be actually opening it up so I can see if you guys have anything that you said already. But otherwise, I'm going to be here and painting Baldur 2. I am kind of tempted to be running Baldur 2 in the tournament coming up here, so we're going to be talking about that. So it is Grotscon. Let's see if there's any comment about my mic. No comments about the mic. Actually, I can just listen. Oh, thank you for sending these in. I love. Haha, it's working. I'm a happy man now. So Grotscon is coming up. It's a 3-day event. First day is the team event, teams of 3. It's just like WTC, so you can't duplicate any casters. Second day, that's going to be the last chance qualifier. And then after that, on the last day, that's going to be the Alberta Invitational. And then finally, there's going to be, if you don't make it into that, or if you drop early, there's also a spell draft going on the same time in the last day. Plus, on the second day, the Saturday, if you do drop out that last chance qualifier, they'll be doing scrambles as people drop and they get people together. So basically, I know I'm going to be doing the team tournament. I know I'm going to be doing the last chance qualifier. Even if I was to lose, I wouldn't drop. I'd still just keep on playing unless I was going to be a buy or something. Then I'd probably drop. But I don't need to really worry because I'm already in the Invitational. Currently, right now, I'm in the 12th point spot there. I mean, it's really crazy. I mean, you can't really just say from that like, oh, you're the 12th in Alberta or something like that, because it's really based off points. So the way it works is that it's going to be a 16-person tournament for the Invitational. 8 of those spots will be auto invites. So if you win one of these tournaments, which has an auto invite, you get one of those spots. Otherwise, as you go to tournaments and you place in the top 8, as long as I think there are at least 20 people or something, then you get points. And so if you don't get an auto invite, they use the points to kind of stack you in there. So, you know, it's one of those interesting things. I just want to make sure I made it. But it's crazy because you look at all the people that are going to be in this tournament, and they are the best of the best around here, right? It's guys like if you look at Team Canada, there's your names right there, right? You guys like Tyler Webb, and you have Bryn, and you have Gord Wepler. Like, there's really, really, really tough people there. So it is going to be very tough. And one of the things I'm kind of worried about is that this last chance qualifier, you know, at first if you're like, oh yeah, it's probably just going to be one of us that's up there that's going to win anyway. Well, remember, there's going to be people coming in from out of town, like Trevor Christensen is going to be there from Chain Attack, and Tom Guan is going to be coming up here too. So it could be Tom Guan that wins that last chance qualifier, and then all of a sudden he's there in that last day. So that could get pretty crazy too. So anyway, first of all is going to be the whole thing with the team tournament. Now, what I'd love to do for the team tournament is I have a little group that I'm with. It's called the Sherwood Parkers, and it really consists of myself, my brother, and another buddy of ours who has been on the channel here before, Ransom. He hasn't been on here for a while. He's been kind of busy. But anyway, it doesn't really work because, like usual, Ransom has to work, and my brother, it's the same weekend as his wife's birthday, so he's having a hell of a time confirming the day. So at this point here, I mean, I can't just wait forever. I want to make plans. And one of the guys from Calgary actually said, like, hey, do you want to put together a team Signar where everybody on the team is a Signar player? It's like, yeah, that'd be awesome. In fact, in the beginning, we were trying to find a way so that we'd all be playing Epic Haley until we realized that's against the rules. But that was going to be kind of nasty, right? You got that guy there that kind of wants to avoid Epic Haley. It's like, no, you are all playing Epic Haley. But, however, that's not the way it's going to be. We all have to play different casters, which is going to make it kind of interesting. Now, luckily with that, an easy way that we got to break it out is that one of us is relatively new to the faction, and so doesn't have many casters. So the two of the ones they have and that they're good with is Haley 2, of course, and Siege. So, okay, that person's taking Haley 2 and Siege. Then we went to the next person who's the most experienced, and we said, okay, what do you want to run? And they said, I want to do Haley 1 and Kane 2. And then finally came to me because I kind of know a lot more about Signar. I'm a lot more comfortable with a lot more casters. And so with Haley 1, Haley 2, Siege, and Kane 2 out of the mix, it's like, what do I want to take? And what I settled on, and I still can play with the list and stuff. I can still change the casters. It's not locked in stone. But what I decided on running was Sturgis and Striker 2. So, Striker 2 will, I haven't ran him for a while, but when I did run him, I ran him quite a bit. I run him with a whole bunch of dudes, swarm things up, and just either I go for the scenario or I go for the assassination. So that's what I'm going to be running there. Of course, like I said, I'm still kind of piecing together the list. And then the Sturgis one, that one, tried and true. I have played that Sturgis list a handful of times, but I'm very happy with the list. There's absolutely nothing I want to change. It is currently undefeated, and most people just don't see it coming because they just aren't used to playing Sturgis, So for those who don't want to bother going back and checking out one of my old videos, what I have in that list is Sturgis running a Stormwall. He has a Squire There are Rangers. There are Gun Mages of UA. There is the Black 13th. Then I also have Storm Lances, also with Lattimore, and then I have Gorman. And I mean, it works great because you go and you put down that covering fire and you put down a pod. The Black 13th shoots it, or Ryan does, and gets that template there. You go up and then you go and you feet and you pull everything in there. You kill all the troops. And then after that's pulled closer, then you have Gorman with his snipe to go and shoot the heavies that he doesn't like, blind all them. Of course, Stormwall probably started shooting at them too. And then as well as they're lined up, then the Storm Lances charge in and they do their thing. So, like I said, it's been doing very, very well. Feel very happy with that one. And should be interesting. Now, with that out of the way, so that's the team tournament, which should be lots of fun. I don't know how well we're going to do. I don't know how many teams there's going to be. It's on a Friday, so of course, everybody who can't get it off, just isn't taking part. So even right there, I mean, there'll be a lot of good players that won't be part of the team tournament just because they can't take the Friday off. Or either that, or they want to be well rested for the last chance qualifier the next day. So that should be lots of fun. Now, the second day, that's going to be the last chance qualifier. Now, for my part, I don't very much care how I do that. I want to do well, but when I started thinking about it, it's like, well, okay, probably what most people are going to be doing is taking your list for the invitational next day and practicing it and making sure you know it well. However, I'm going to be taking some lists that are a little bit more janky, and I don't want to warn people. I want them to be surprised by it on the last day and be able to spring it on them. So with that in mind, I want to be running something completely different on that last chance qualifier. And with that, I am trying to decide what I want to run. I could do whatever I want with Signar. I could do janky Signar with the pairing of the tier 3 Darius again with all the Centurions, and also my tier 3 Cray that has all the Hunters and Minutemen and stuff. I could do lots of different things and just have fun with it, right? I don't want to take something that's total garbage, but, I can have more fun. And then the last day, that's where I pull out my true jank list, and I kind of really go for it. So we'll see. Like I said, the last day, the actual invitational, normally I go into a tournament and I plan or aim to win more than I lose. But in this case here, I think even if I go even, I'll be doing pretty well just because of how good all these players are in this. So we'll see how I do. I'll be doing my best for sure. So we got 2 viewers, but they're being quiet. They're just, they're happy listening to me. Maybe they're even listening by mistake. They're, trying to figure out how they got here, and they're trying to get on something else. Yeah. Let's fix this up. I was being so careful here at the blade to try and not get it inside the recesses that I've actually put the paint way too faint. So I got to go back over it now to thicken it up. And you know what? Now that I have more of this stone armor on, it's starting to grow on me. It's not that bad. I mean, when I did the first shoulder pad and it filled in all that green part, it looked just dumb because it's a big piece of stone on him. But now that I've done some parts here where I've been a lot more careful and kept the green inside those recesses, it's looking a lot better. And I'm, like I said, it's growing on me. And it's one of those things too that when you just have the one piece of it done, it kind of seems out of place. But once you get a few of these plates done, then the model starts working together. I mean, it starts coming together. So I'll get this one done, and then while I wash my brush, I'll show you how it's looking so far, but it's not too bad. I don't even think I can even show you that well. So, interestingly, there has been a whole bunch of players locally here that are going over to Signar. And they've been chatting with me and trying to figure out what they should be running and stuff like that. And you know what? It's almost making me feel like less interested to run Signar. You know, it's one of those things where you want to be that unique little butterfly and do your own thing. And if nothing else, like maybe I should be running my jank stuff. And so getting back to that last chance qualifier, that's one of the big things that has me wondering, like maybe I should be running my Gators. I have been having lots and lots of fun with my circle lately. So maybe I could be bringing my Baldur 2 and Chromac lists, right? I mean, I'm not a super good circle player or anything, but I'm good enough that I can, you know, put up a good fight and have some fun. So that should be interesting. Plus, there's open gaming on the Friday there. And I think one of the things you're going to be trying to do for that game is do like a big, either like a four-way type thing or a big team game. So that'd be interesting. One of the things I was wondering if I should get the rules for is Lee from the Bleep Up podcast has his Colossal Mania rules he made. So that basically you just get a Colossal and a Caster and they wrestle it out in the ring. You know, maybe I should print off those rules and bring those down. Some other interesting local news is that we have a new podcast. It's called Immune to Cold. So far, they've only done one video, which is really just a sound test. It's like 10 minutes, but they're right here, you know? So here, I was wondering if I should be trying to get a podcast together, either Signar-based or Jank-based, and now this one started up. And so, you know, one of the things I'm wondering if I should just try and weasel myself in to try and be a guest on that one, or if I should be pushing more to try and make my own thing. I don't know. Podcasts aren't really my forte, but it would be fun. So while I wash this, I'm going to kind of show you what it looks like. I mean, if you kind of see that side plate, it's actually not looking that bad. And when you start getting multiples of it, I mean, I guess I'll have to try and get more of this. Right now, it's kind of more spread out because I'm just kind of going around the waist. But like I said, it's actually not looking that bad. Another thing I'm noticing now, too, is that he has runes in his leather. So he's wearing like a cloak and then some leather padding and then this stone stuff on top. And on the leather, there's raised runes. So whereas on the stone part or metal, however you paint it, there's recessed runes, on the leather, it's like it's on top, which is really weird. You know, should I be making that like metal embroidery that they put on top? Or how should I be painting that? Should I just be leaving it? Because is it worth my time? But either way, you know, another thing with me liking my circle is I've been getting a lot more models lately for it too. Had this birthday here, and I got a bunch more of the median infantry. I got the Blood Pack that you saw in the battle report. I got the Warp Wolf Alpha, so that's awesome. And then I also got the Ravengers. And so what I'm actually really close to now is playing Epic Morvana. And that's awesome because it's one that can really go for attrition and also death clock, which is something I love, right? You kind of like grind and grind and grind and grind, and then boom, you bring all your guys back, and they're like, God damn it, I have to chew through all this stuff again. And of course, whenever they're attacking, that's their clock, right? Every roll is just more seconds off their clock. And so it's one of those things where you can almost just like feed it to them. It's like, here, attack, roll dice. Okay, pop feet, I get everything back. And now we're playing like a regular game, except I've been taking super short turns, you've been taking long turns, and your clock is now 20 minutes down, and we all still have all our stuff, or maybe I killed off a few of your things. So, I don't know, I think she's really interesting. The funny thing is that I used to have Epic Morvana. I bought her because I thought she looked cool, didn't even know the rules, realized that she wasn't much of a beast caster, because at the time that's all I played was just beasts, and then just got rid of her. I traded. And now I'm going to try and get her back. It doesn't even taste like chocolate anymore. It just tastes like leaves. It's just the tea now. we will go back to doing some armor here, because that's really it. When I'm done painting the armor, I've already did so much of the other stuff already that this will be pretty much done. Don't know how we're doing for time. Normally I kind of get filled in by people giving questions, but like I said, I didn't put that up, and my viewers are being very quiet. Now, maybe they're not. Maybe they are actually asking like 10 questions, but they're just not popping up on this comment tracker. So another big thing I want to be doing at that tournament is I want to be talking to Trevor Christensen. Now, I'm sure that's actually a goal of everyone there. So it's going to be kind of weird because they're already talking about on one of their past podcasts where when people come up and really want to talk to them, they want to be nice and they want to chat with you. But at the same time, they're not there to be chain attack personnel. They're there to play in the tournament. And so one of the things I want to get set up, though, is that whole thing where we're going to go down and play with them. You know, get like a bus full of Albertans, go to the store and play, and just start kind of working on the details. You know, it could be that I have this dream, but he's like, oh, you know what? Our store just can't handle it. You know, our store is almost always packed, and now there's just no way we can make this work. So I'll have to kind of see about that. Plus, I'd like to kind of arrange, you know, time that if we're going to arrange this, it'd be kind of cool if we could arrange so that after the Alberta guys and the Chain Attack folks could go out for dinner or something. It's still really too bad that Scott is now not part of the group. And, I mean, Josh Wheeler, he's a great, funny guy. You know, whenever he comes in to talk about his minions, I always enjoy it. But I always had that list where, you know, things you want to do, and one of them was I wanted to meet Scott. Just sound like a guy you could have lots of fun talking to and, you know, laughing as he talks about what he's salty about now. But, oh, well. So, again, for you guys watching, let me know what you want me to talk about. I'm going to go and open it up again so I can kind of see if you're posting something that's not coming over. Usually gets better if I could just get rambling about something. I know one of the things I've been taking some flack for lately is not playing with painted models. And man, I'm working on it, guys. I mean, you're seeing whenever I do these Paintisodes, I'm painting them. One of the things I'm going to have to really do to focus on, though, is that lately I've been painting things like the Winter Argus, which aren't really necessary. I mean, like one of the other things I painted was the Riphorn, which I love painting. He looks awesome. But honestly, how often do I use the guy? As opposed to like with Sturgis, I am always running the Storm Lances and Lattimore, and they're just black. And, you know, if I was to put the same time into there and just paint one of those guys, do one more Storm Lance every single week, it'd be a lot better. Hey, we got some questions. So we have Keller Tube saying, here's a question for you. Do you play the War Machine video game? And no, I don't. I'm just not really into video games. I used to be. I used to play it a whole bunch. And then I kind of forcibly took myself away from it because it was just eating all my time. Like, it was ridiculous. Because you just get lost in it, right? I mean, back in my day, where if you want to beat a video game, you have to grind levels for hours and hours. You know, I'm in that mentality, and so I start playing these video games hours after hours after hours, and you got really nothing to show for it. So I forcibly stopped playing video games, and all of a sudden started getting a lot other things done. Surprise, surprise. Now, we're going to have to see that could be actually turning around now because my kids are of the age that they're starting to play video games, and they want me to play with them. Me and my son just recently beat Lego Star Wars, so that was pretty awesome. But yeah, as far as the video game for War Machine, it's kind of like Vassal. You know, when I think about playing a video game, it's just, well, I might as well be just playing the real thing. And that's not always possible, right? I mean, sometimes it's just you and all your buddies are busy, or it's lunch, or it's on the toilet. Okay, but it's just And I mean, the other problem too is I don't have a tablet. I have a BlackBerry, and it doesn't really support games that well. So those are my excuses anyway. Killer Tube is another one there saying, painting up my corn lord of skulls in anticipation of the new Demonkin Codex. Didn't you know that was coming out? So is that basically just the new Demon Codex? I would assume so. Maybe it's like the Dark Angels where it's a support thing. But anyway, not that you pay attention to GW anymore or anything. Yeah, you know, I still somewhat listen to stuff. But as you heard there, like I'm sure there's a lot of people out there. They're like, well, duh, this is a big book coming out, Malorian. How do you not know about this? And so that's kind of one of those things. You're like, well, sorry, I'm just not really following it that closely. But I still do want to know when Ninth comes out. I am still subscribed to quite a few fantasy channels. You know, I still am subscribed to Once Bitten and to the Sustainable Center and Lord Tremendous. So one of the things that I love more so, like the battle reports, I've kind of fallen out of love with. Once Bitten's reports, always before I'd watch every single one, start to finish. And now it's like, I just can't force myself to do it. I like a lot more when the Sustainable Centers has videos that's more talking about what the meta is, right? Where he's talking about a new book, or when Lord Tremendous had his rants. You know, that's how I kind of stay up and figure out what's going on currently in the fantasy meta. You know, I get to see my old buddies chat it up, and at the same time, I get to learn some stuff, so why not? Refresh, see if you guys put anything else on there. Meanwhile, this guy's coming along really fast. All right, nothing else here. So his armor is almost done. Now, one of the things I'm noticing now is that on his stone armor, he has these little crystals. And I naturally just made those green because that's kind of what I've been doing for the circle stuff, is that their magical energy is green. Well, the problem is that the armor has all that green underlay, and then there's a green crystal on top. And so it's all just kind of blending in. So I'm going to have to come up with a different color for the crystal. And I'm thinking red. You know, red's... Well, I don't know, maybe red would make it look all Christmassy, right? Because then you have the blue, the red, and the green going. So it could just make it look silly. So watch for that. I mean, now if I show it in the front, hopefully now you can see how it's starting to come together. You know, all of a sudden once you have more of the model done, it's like, okay, yeah, that's starting to make sense. That's not so bad. Of course, it'd be better if my camera would actually focus. But now, basically, I just have the armor to do on his arms and then start picking out some of those details. That's going to be great because, like I said, this will be another model where, for the most part, this is my pairing, right? I still love Epic Kaya. I think she's a great circle caster. But lately, Chromac has been my number one. And then Baldur here is my counter to Lilith too, because I hate her with a passion. And yet, I've never actually gotten to play that matchup. Probably because I almost never bring out my circle to a tournament. But because of that, I've never actually had to test this out. I think it would work well. You know, you get the Warp Wolves behind the wall. So their armor, or sorry, defense 18 against shooting. Roots of the Earth, they're going to be armor 20. I realized that. I screwed that up in my last video. That's one of the another reasons why I like doing these battle reports, is that I learn from it. I mean, part of me likes to think that I'm helping you guys learn, but you know what? When you post up your battle reports and you make a mistake, people let you know. And the downside of Roots of the Earth is that you can't move anymore. You know, it's awesome that nobody can move you. Oh, dude, it's Keeler. So it's Keeler Tube. You've told me that before. Sorry, Keeler Tube. Keeler. Now I totally lost my train of thought. I'm just thinking, Keeler. He's a Keeler. He's going to kill you. But, yeah, I mean, then, of course, you got Snapjaw and Wrong Eye, who just can't be shot at all. But you know what? I bet you that having this, they would actually probably just drop, like, Saren or something else. So here I have this list that's specifically built just to deal with Lilith 2, and then just me having it will mean I never get to use it because then they won't drop Lilith 2. But you know what? That's not a bad thing. You know, if I could say I'm just not going to use this list and I never have to face this caster I hate, hey, I'll take that. It was kind of funny. Of course, we're still waiting for some of the new spoilers and releases that come out. And so, you know, Denning 3, of course, is an obvious one. But everybody's talking more about Haley 3 and what she's going to do. And it's funny because there's still people like, what? Are you sure it's a Haley 3? Yes. We know a Haley 3 has been coming for a very long time. And then with the rune spelling things out, like, okay, come on, guys. We know it's going to be Haley 3. She's going to be there. Unfortunately, there's just still no rumors and no leaks about actually what she has. And I'm actually very keen, clearly being a Signar player, to know what she is going to have. He has these little armor bits on his elbows, and so I'm making them stone too, but I'm wondering if I should be making them leather instead. So one of these details where, you know, it's only in the back of the model. Probably I'm the only one who's ever going to see it, but if I don't settle this in my mind, it'll bother me for all time. Some Signar talk here. We got a new player who is doing Signar, and one of the models that he just loves is the Storm Lances. So Storm Lances, not very popular for Signar, partially because they're so expensive. They don't have a box of 5. They're not plastic. You have to buy an expensive box of 3 and then buy 2 more blisters of a single one. And so they're pretty expensive. They break easily. Unless you buff them, they get hurt really, really quickly. But they can also do a lot of damage. And so he's been running them in a lot of lists. Makes me wondering if I should be running them more too. We've been talking about it more. And so, you know, of course, me, whenever I start thinking about any sort of jank, it's like, oh boy, how could I jank this up even more? I just don't want to paint them. That's the problem with these Storm Lances. Maybe I'll have to just force myself. All right, let's see if Keeler Tube wrote anything else. Something refreshing. So, anyway, this is where we are with Balder now. So all the armor has been done stone-like. So now I'm going to be going back and kind of touching things up. Wherever there's supposed to be leather, I'll be adding that. Also, there's little links. So, I mean, wherever the stone armor was attached, there's these little circlets, rings. So I'll be making those metal because it'd be really silly to have like stone armor that's linked together with other stone. Because, I mean, you'd have to kind of like carve that out of one piece of stone, and it just doesn't make any sense. Then again, I mean, this is a weird land where everything has magic robots and stuff like that. So it's not like everything has to make logical sense, but kind of funny too that, I mean, if they had metal, they're like, should we make some weapons from this metal? No, that'd be dumb. Let's just sew together our stone armor with this metal. Especially, too, I mean, where I've made other troops have metal weapons, and then here's going to be the leader, Baldur II, with his stone sword. You know, you think that your leader would have the best weapon, not just a huge piece of stone that he's pretending is a sword. So, anyway, another game that I actually decided to get out of today was Attack Wing, or X-Wing. Whatever is the one with the Star Wars flying around. It's a game that had been tempting me for a long time. I got a starter box for really cheap, and the kids dumped it on the floor. Now, of course, it's really easy to pick that stuff up, but I decided just to turf it. I'm going to save the ships because, hey, my kids can play with it, but I think it's for the best if I just get rid of it, because all I hear is how expensive this game is going to be in the long run, right? That starter set is just kind of like a starter drug where you get those first couple of ships, and then once you start playing, it's like, oh, well, don't you want to get a couple more ships? Wouldn't it be nice to change up your list a little bit? And it just adds and adds and adds and adds. So I decided, as I saw there, all the pieces on the floor and the perfect opportunity to decide now's the time that I was going to use that to throw it out. And it was crazy. My kids were completely heartbroken. It's like, how could you throw it out? We never got to play it. Well, I offered. I don't know how many of you guys who watch this actually have your own kids. I'm guessing very few. But you will get to that point where you have to mix in your own gaming with your kids' gaming. We haven't played. I got them their own War Machine armies, and I was excited to, teach them how to play, and all of a sudden we can go to tournaments together and stuff like that, but they never really have the interest. Whenever I ask them, hey, do you want to play another game of War Machine? They're saying no. Now they're 5 and 7, so clearly they're kind of young, extremely young. But I really did think that, because they're really good, right? As far as board games go, this 5 and 7-year-old are playing games where you're supposed to be like 14 plus and stuff. So they're having no problem with that. So I really was hopeful that I could teach them the War Machine, but it's just not happening. Meanwhile, I've been doing a lot of other demo games, trying to get a lot more other people into the game. And hopefully you guys aren't getting too bored of trolls. I know it always seems like I'm up against trolls and then trolls and then trolls and then trolls, but that's because my buddy who plays them is wanting to get as many games in as possible because he's moving to China, and he's pretty sure he's not going to get to play while he's there. First of all, because whenever he Googles, he can't find any group in China. So if you're a viewer, I know I got ones from Norway and Poland and all over. If you're from China, let me know, because I know a guy that wants to play. And I know that China is a massive place, but just knowing that War Machine is in China should mean that it's in other parts of China, because he'll be in more, like a larger city. So it's not like he's off in nowhere. So if they play War Machine in China, they should be playing there too. But either way, he's wanting to play lots of games. And I mean, probably the most unfortunate part of it for the channel is the fact that his stuff isn't painted. And, I really wish it was painted, guys, because whenever you're playing with painted stuff, it just looks better and blah, blah, blah. But what can I do? It's either that. I mean, I might as well put the battle reports up, right? Otherwise, just don't see them. So, another thing I'm going to have to deal with right away here is I'm going to be losing my office down here. My wife is needing to reorganize her disaster area of her office. And to do that, I'm going to be offering up my office for her to do that. It's one of those things where you have to make a mess to clean a mess. And so during that time, I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do, like where I'm going to go for my Paintisodes, and how I'm going to have to organize my stuff, because there's a lot of War Machine things here. And it's really like a staging area. Maybe I'll show you this. So what I'm playing on here is probably one of the best purchases that I ever made. And what it is a very old-time pool table. It was actually used to be my mother's and my uncle's. They got it for Christmas and blah, blah, blah. And it's just made out of wood. It's this big, huge wooden thing. And it's great because it's massive. I've played many a game on this table. And it's great just for setting all your stuff up. But really, this is a staging area for all my armies. You know, I got an army set up there. You know, armies over here, other guys. Like cookie trays are my way of transport. So there's that there. There's another army that had to go off of cookie trays, of another one on a cookie tray, you know, multiple other stuff here. So this is really my staging area. I have all the shelves and stuff here too that have other stuff. Circles way over there in that cabinet. But yeah, this thing here is a pretty major thing. Hey, we got Kieran Dunleavy. How's it going, buddy? Talk about scenery for War Machine. What kinds of key pieces are necessary to have in someone's collection? That's a good question. I'm wondering why you're asking that, Kieran, whether you're getting... Well, okay, actually, I think I know. I'm hoping you're asking because you're getting into War Machine, but I'm guessing it's more to do with the fact that you're running tournaments now, that you need to know what terrain to have out there. But for War Machine, the stuff you really want to have is you really want to have forests. That's the big one you want to have. You really want to have walls. So a big one you want to have. You also want to have like buildings, something, or rocks. There'll be obstructions. Those are your big three. It would be nice to have stuff like hills. Hills can work, but they can get really awkward. But rules-wise, those are the big three you see. You could be adding in things like water and trenches and lots of other stuff, but those are the main ones you're going to be working around is forests, walls, and obstructions. And the good thing is, I know like from you, you're coming from fantasy and stuff like that. You're going to have a lot of those already. And so in fantasy, you'll be already having buildings. You'll be already be having your walls, already be having your forests. So that really works out very well. In fact, War Machine starts getting a little bit more flexible because since it's a skirmish game, you can start having other pieces of terrain that wouldn't normally work that all of a sudden now kind of do. I'm just going to do this to show you a good example. Is like that there. If you see that little building thing here, that's sticking up with the windows, you know, that there for fantasy doesn't work because you're going around in blocks and it's just like this big, huge, weird circular thing that doesn't work for fantasy. Well, for War Machine, it can work very well. Then again, you have to remember that when you get to the more competitive War Machine, that they like things a little bit more clear cut. It's actually was really crazy to see this, that when you play fantasy, you want to have a very awesome detailed board that has all these crazy things and just looks awesome. And in fact, when you come to War Machine, they almost want things dumbed down. So instead of having like this beautiful looking forest and this elaborate building you made, you just want to be cutting out a circle that says forest and cutting out a rectangle that says building, because the exact placement of all these models is very key. And sometimes having these actual buildings in the way makes it hard to place them, right? Because they're either falling over, or maybe this arm means that you can't make it tight with the building. And so it's crazy. You know, it's so weird for me to learn that a lot of people at that upper level want these very simple pieces of terrain. I mean, definitely for forests, you want to have trees that can come out. Again, the Battlefield and the box ones are working fantastic for that because it's really just a base with trees you throw on top. So whenever you want to use it, you just take them off. Walls, something to keep in mind with War Machine terrain is that line of sight is blocked by height. So I don't take Jaga and say like, oh, I'm this high, true line of sight, this is where I go. The way it works is that it's based off of a small model or a medium model or a large or whatever, and they have these heights. And so you'd actually go and hold it up and see, oh, okay, small models can't look over this, but mediums can. So just know that the height that you make buildings and walls and hills actually is very important. I mean, in fantasy it is because it's true line of sight, but most people kind of forget this when it comes to the War Machine, that if you have a hill that's a good size hill, you can't just assume you can see stuff on the other side. You have to figure out how high that is. So this is crazy. Been doing this for almost, I don't know, half an hour now. Or no, this would be about an hour. And all of a sudden now, this is where I'm getting all the viewers. Maybe I should be starting these later. So if you guys have any other questions, please post them up. I am doing fairly well with my Kruger. Like I said, we're almost at the hour, but I'm going to keep going till this guy's done because I want him done. And for some reason, this just isn't pulling up the... When I push refresh, it just doesn't refresh. It's very annoying. So I'm sure there's more questions there that I'm just not hearing.
All the viewers.
Quiet you. Nobody wants to listen to you, Malorian. Big dumb jerk. And there's, oh, Keeler Tube saying, well, bedtime here in Toronto. Good luck in the Invitational Team Canada 2016. Well, yeah, we'll see if I can make that. You know, it's funny. I was getting very, very, very competitive, and you know, it was all the time. Like, I just want to go for the throat. I want to be doing awesome. And then all of a sudden, when I didn't make the team, and when I kind of bombed at that one last tournament, it's like things have eased off now. Now I just like, yeah, let's pull out some jank. Let's have some fun. You know, and it's good to be in this spot again. I'm one of those people that enjoy both sides. So when I was really going for that Team Canada, it was like, okay, go, go, go. But now that's gone, like, I'm having fun with this too. Like I said, for that last chance qualifier, if I would have made the team, it would be a go, go, go tournament, try and kick, like, boot in face. But now it's like, let's bring my mercenaries. Let's bring Magnus 2 tier and have some fun. So, man, now that I've added more leather, it's actually worse because the color that I make for leather is actually the same color I made his beard. Why? Why does that have to be an issue? Anyway, I'll have to decide. Maybe I'll put some gray streaks in his beard. You know, a little bit of extra work, but it makes it look different at least. Let's do some gems. See what those red gems look on the green. Hopefully not super Santa-y. We'll have to find out. Yeah, but man, Kieran, we gotta get you into some War Machine or something. Been too long. It's like that with a lot of my old fantasy friends. That part of my life just kind of stopped and didn't get to see you guys again. And clearly, I mean, the answer to it is not me going back and playing fantasy. I mean, clearly, you guys have to come here and play War Machine. That's how it works. Ooh, 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 ooh. It's looking all right. You know, I did a couple of gems already. And it's not, there's not that much green that you really get the Christmas thing going on. Oop. It kind of stands out nicely. All right, now there's little gems on the shoulders. For a while, I didn't think I could finish this guy because my stupid flesh died, but got a new one. It always seems like there's always that one color that dies. You know, you have your set of paints, and you go and you start painting, and it's like, oh, man, one dies. So you go to the shop, and you buy one more. And then as soon as you come back, and it's time to paint again, it's like, damn it, now another one's dead. Okay, go pick it up, come back, next painting day. Damn it, now another one's dry. You know, it's almost like they wait. You know, you can't have like 3 kind of run out at the same time. It's always like that, where it's kind of like, Anyway, we got the gems on there. I did the thing on the sword too. The sword kind of looked more like a crest. I don't know if I really like that because it's not a gem. Maybe I should have just made that green. I don't know. I know too, like a lot of people on the buckles on around the belt, they'll make that gold. Maybe I'll see how things come together as I paint these. Why can't things be easy? Why can't they make these models be like one black cloak, right? If they're supposed to be druids, can't they just have one big massive cloak and be done with it? No, just like the Baldur one where he has like even the hood up and all that stuff. I could paint the whole army in no time. But just goes to show. Probably sure press hates me. All right, so see if there's anything else new here. This is actually way faster than waiting for it to actually update. Just have one big massive cloak and be done with it. Come on, quiet you. No, just like a. One thing that's kind of funny too with the team tournament is just how team tournaments really captured people's imagination. You know, when you're going in for a regular tournament, you kind of have only yourself to kind of psych yourself up. Maybe if you're part of a group that's going together, you can kind of feed off that. But whenever you have a team tournament and a team event, it always seems like it takes it to that next level because it's not just you trying to talk to other guys about what your lists are and they're kind of ignoring you because they're thinking about their lists. Also, it's like, yeah, you run that, and then I can do this, and we'll counter this, you know. And so all of a sudden, there's like this team signar we got going. Like it was a buzz of activity today. I was trying to figure out about what to run and all this fun stuff. And they're talking about getting like T-shirts. And I'm all for it, you know. Like why not? They're cheap. It's for like one day in one tournament, but have fun. And especially if you can find a shirt that works. I mean, back when we were trying to be 3 epic Haleys, the idea was that we were going to have the symbol that was just like the troll face, the troll man. So, I mean, you could wear that normally. That doesn't need to be a War Machine thing. So right now I'm just touching up the black, which is like what I used for the bottom layer of the cloak. Maybe I'm doing this a little bit too soon. Maybe I should have done those little metal rivets first, but whatever. Have to do these things sometime. One of the things I have to also decide is that all around him, on like the leather part of it, there is rings all over this goddamn thing. Am I going to make them all metal? And again, it's a thing where they wasted all this metal to put rings on their armor instead of actually making metal weapons or metal armor. But silly circle. They don't know things. Oh, this is a little bit botched. It's getting to that point there where you're trying to be careful because if you get paint on anything else, it's like, damn it, now I got to come back and fix this and come back and fix this. But there you go. Black is fixed. Got to do the silver. Once I'm done the silver, just got, oh no, this one was left open. Nah, looks like it's fine. This is a brand new pot too. If this would have gone dry, it'd been like just like what I just said. It was like every time you come, there's something else that's not, you know, but now dry. This is weird too. I didn't have this before. You know, I've been painting using GW Citadels for a long time, and it's only in the last couple of years, or maybe just the last year, that I found that they get creamy. That, I mean, always before you have to mix them before you use them, but it's like now really like from one day to the next, it's like a whole layer of like this weird cream stuff comes out of their metal paints, and you got to really shake it back in. A lot of people always say that I should be trying to do some of the other paints. Like, oh, GW paints are so expensive and blah, 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 blah. Whatever. It's worth it. It's such a minor expense compared to everything else that you're putting into the hobby. Like this little guy here is probably, I can't remember anymore, but he's probably like $18 or something like that. Spend that little bit more. Totally worth it. So I've decided these little buckle things are going to be silver. So again, why make metal armor? Why make a metal sword? We gotta get a buckle, right? It's all about that cowboy buckle. And you know what? As much as I want to not do it, all those tiny rings going around the leather armor, we're gonna do them. It's fast. And it's probably gonna make a big difference. Because it's your caster, right? It's a caster. You want to take that extra step. You know, if this was just like a trooper, screw it. I'm not going to do those rings on all the 10 guys. But on just the leader, all right. You owe me, Balder 2. Next game, you better not die to a fell collar again. Ugh. Just when I thought I was finding my way out of that game. Who would think that a fell collar would be that good, right? A little solo. He's just a support guy, right? Nothing serious. Nope. 2 weapon master attacks. See you, caster. You're dead. Thanks for coming out. You're like, what's the point of this? They have like the leather going, and then like the stone armor, and then tucked down like in the very closest recess, that's where they have like these raised runes on the leather armor. Oh, I got it. So again, there's lots of you guys watching here. I've got lots of viewers. If you want me talking about Scorn, bring up Scorn. We're going to have another War Machine Wednesday tomorrow. Odds are it is going to be Scorn against Kador, although you never know. They both have multiple factions. That's their most common one. It's not going to be held here. Normally, I like trying to do these War Machine Wednesdays here, where I can set up like, you know, my mat and terrain and stuff. But we're going to a new place. I've never gone to this guy's house before. So to see what type of terrain and mats he has. But one of them, Christian, you've seen him on my channel before. He's a great painter. He's won painting awards before, so that should be good whatever he drops. And then the other one, Michael Richardson, he, you know, he's not like he wins painting awards, but he does paint his stuff. So that'll be good to have again. They're also both competitive players, so we'll see what type of game they're going to have. I mean, the last one was okay. 2 new players, so you get to see kind of like what new players will throw at. You want to get back to that more competitive stuff. Or the jank stuff. Hoping you guys like that jank I had in the last one there. 5 Centurions. And it was also the first time I got the Hammersmith to actually do anything good. Like normally when I take the Hammersmith, he kind of like goes around and he dies and doesn't really do anything cool. But this one he actually did his thing, right? He gets in there, he gets off his crit smite, smashes one of the lights into another light, jams things up. You know, like he was worth the points. I mean, originally that list was supposed to be 6 Centurions, and so I was really begrudging the fact that I was forced to take a Hammersmith. But, you know, he, for 8 points, or in that list, he's a point cheaper for 7 points, you know, he's pretty decent. And the other part with the Hammersmith is that he's kind of slow, but with Darius, you can crane him and really get him up there. I had another jank type version of a list, of course, because it's me. But in this one here, instead of running all those Centurions, you run a whole bunch of defenders. And so really the whole idea is that using Crane, you set up a knockdown on the enemy caster, and of course the defenders go pew, 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 pew. And so the reason why it works well with Darius is the idea where he can get the units up there. You know, he has that full throttle to run all the jacks he needs where to have them. You know, if he wants those defenders to turning into melee machines, he can kind of do it by letting them charge for free and stuff like that. I don't know. I just thought it's one of those ones, again, where I thought it'd be interesting. Probably not good, but interesting. And to be fair, if I really wanted something like that, I should probably just be doing one of the, what is it called? Hammer Strike? I can't remember. It's the spell that Siege has and Kane 1 has, where it's basically like a magical slam. The Death 0706. I got the Scorn all in one box and battle box at Adepticon. What would you recommend to add to it? I don't know. Malakarn, I know he's not in those boxes, so he's something that's going to want to add. I mean, really, once you have those two things, you really have everything you need, right? Like, you already have a very good spread of the faction. And so what you need to do at this point when you have those models, which is a good solid collection to have, now you just need to play. You need to go out there and figure out what you like, what your strategies are, and which way you want to take the list. Because, I mean, like right there, I said, like, oh, get Malakarn. Well, maybe you don't plan to play that style of list. And then Malakarn will be completely wasted. So what I would say is at this point here is just stop. You already have lots of models. Play a good 5 games and start to see, like, oh, you know what? I like this and I like this. And then you can start looking at, okay, what makes X better, right? If I find I really like shooting, what can I do to really make that shooting work? If I like these big heavies, how do I make those type of heavies work, right? Maybe you like going for assassination. Maybe you like going for scenario. So get in there, play those games. You know, it's kind of like self-exploration. You know, enjoy the faction for a second and let it kind of lead you where you need to go next. Yeah. You know, when you push your brush a little bit too far, and all of a sudden it doesn't have that point anymore, so now you're globbing instead of doing the detail you wanted. Well, that's where I'm at right now. But I'm almost done the silver. So now we can go back and do some cleaning up because there were some globs going on there. Apparently I scared off all the viewers. They don't care about Scorn. It was all a lie. They come here to listen to me cough, probably. Kieran Dudley saying, miss you too, buddy. Although I'm not coming to join you in War Machine. No. Perhaps you'll meet me halfway with a foray into Malifaux. You've tried talking to me into that one before. It's cold tea. Clearly I've been painting a while. Yeah, Malifaux. I like Malifaux in the fact that it's small. You know, I basically just need to buy a handful of models and I'm good to play. But I know that's just like anything else. And it's like, yeah, you just need this to play. And it's like, but if you want options, you want this and this and this and this and this. So it's one of those ones I'm just really trying to stay away from because I know it's one of those things like X-Wing that could really draw me in. Irish Skills saying, from a circle point of view, the casters you play, which Legion casters make you cringe? Like I said, Circle does not like seeing Legion because they can shoot down our stuff and get through our kind of force that we like to use. So that's a really big deal. Saren is also kind of a big deal because all of a sudden they can get on our heavies, and we don't really have a lot of shooting stuff, right? Like we have like sure, blood trackers and the pure blood, but when Saren comes in and pops feet, a lot of her stuff is like, and so that one can also be a little bit of a problem. I play against both Balders, and I'm having a tough time choosing my caster. I worry about Circle's ability to assassinate Veil 1 or Abyssalonia 2, as they need to get close to be effective. Any thoughts? Well, the Balders play very different. Balder 1 is more of an assassination caster. He wants to set up those forests and then just like teleport over and kill you. And Balder 2 is more of a slow and steady, I'm going to move up as a brick and kill you type of list. So when you're trying to deal with this, let's say you're up against Balder 2. Now, this is, again, I'm more of a janky player, and this is not what most Legion players would say to do. But against Balder, I'd say go for something like Callus, right? Have something that has lots of dudes and swarms. And you want to get in there, you have to kill off the stones so that they can't teleport, and then just bog them out of the scenario and win. Now, instead of Callus, one of the things that another Legion buddy of mine is doing Thagrosh 2. So that way you can have a couple of rabid shredders underneath Manifest Destiny, and they're going to rush up and with the feet take out the stones. And again, once the stones are down, that really takes away their mobility. And in a list like the Balder 2, where there will be a lot of heavies and stuff like that, you can definitely lock them out of zones. Now, be careful about your positioning, because they might try and trample. If they're running the Guardian route, they might try and doing the beatbacks to get where they want. So make sure that you are positioning correctly to stop that. But that's how you have that there. Against Boulder 1, it's kind of more you want distance. Now, at the same time, could you really just run like Lilith 2 and just shoot them up? Now, the danger with Lilith 2 is, like I said, I'm running Boulder 2 to stop Lilith 2, so that is an issue. Would I run against that? I would jam it. I would just jam it. I think the same thing kind of works for both. Once you get in there and you kill the stones, be it with Callus or I think Thagrosh 2 probably does it best. I just like the Callus infantry swarm. Once you take that away, they can still teleport around by making forests, but that gets really limited once you get into their faces. So, I mean, get in there. Take things like Hex Hunters and Striders and just run at them and just tie them down. Again, have some models that can sneak through and get to those stones. You only need to destroy one, and then the whole thing shuts down. So once you do that, you block them out and you can kind of go for the win. Because both of those casters go for slower heavies that have a real hard time trying to really get somewhere. So there we go with that. Don't think. Oh, here's some others. Arrow Zero saying, would you ever consider going to an airbrush for your painting? Nope. I had considered it once before when I was painting my Tyranids. However, I quickly gave up on the idea because I just don't want to deal with it. Airbrushes take a very long time to clean, and I just didn't want to bother with it. I knew that when I was doing my Tyranids that, wow, if I had an airbrush, I could do this way faster, but I just didn't want to have to deal with any of the other work associated with it. So maybe it's just me being lazy, but like I said, it just wasn't my thing. Sometimes, too, I almost feel like it's cheating. You know, you got these guys that can spray and make an entire Convergence army in, like, you know, a weekend. Because there's like, okay, there's all that gold. Okay, now I'm just going to go and dry brush on some silver. Okay, now I'll do the gems. Done. It's like, God, man, it's not fair. Put in some work. This one model here is taking me an hour. Could have sprayed your entire army. But yeah, I've been tempted by airbrushes, but I'm not going to go there. Nothing else new here, so I'll just go back to rambling on. And I really am getting close to this, guys. Like, it's not going to be that much longer. All the silver's done. I'm now just trying to touch up the areas I botched up with the silver, do the face, and that'll be it. Oh, I was going to fix up the beard. That's right. That's the other thing. Normally, the two colors I make beards are either like brown, which is the same as the leather I have here, or I make it gray, which is the same as his stone armor. So I'm going to need to find something else. Orange hair. I don't know. What else do I have to fix? I botched up the leather. I mean, I could make it yellow, but I make it my Signar guys all have yellow hair. Maybe that's weird. You know, I see a lot of other people where they're just make a mix. Like, oh, this guy has gray hair, and this guy has white hair, and this guy has whatever. To me, it's, I don't know. Maybe it's like a German thing, and everything has to be pure. But I always like kind of picking one main color for it. And all these guys, like, this is the color of their armor. This is the color of their hair. Eyes are always the same. I don't change that up. Oh, there's another gem spot I messed up. But we are getting close. We're at the hour and 20 mark, so we are going late. But hey, I owe you guys. You know, this is a new bat time. You know, maybe that's what I should be doing with Kieran Dunleavy. You know, maybe he'd like to be doing these paintisodes with me. I'm sure he has a bunch of stuff he needs to paint. Then again, he's probably a busy guy. Not everyone can just dedicate like, oh, yeah, sure, every Tuesday I'll do this for an hour, hour and a half. You know, this is kind of late. A lot of people, I know this is a bad time. You know, and that's always the issue, is trying to find a time that works for everyone. That's why a lot of the other painting shows, be it on Twitch or wherever, they'll do their stuff on the weekend. But my weekends are full. You know, I can't dedicate it to make it every Sunday or every Saturday because there's always something going on. So hopefully you guys can understand that. Okay, blotch some white for eyes. Blotch some white for eyes. The lazier, the better. Oh, and before I clear out the white, I got to do the bases too. That's always such a big thing. Normally, this guy seems to be the exception to the rule, but normally the first thing I paint in a model is the forward arc lines. So key in War Machine. And so easy to do too. I mean, for myself, I just have a piece of tape that's on here, and then so I can match it up so that, you know, I can tell where the middle is. I've seen those ones where people try and guesstimate it themselves. They're like, and it's like way off. You know, they got an extra 15 degrees on their front arc. Whatever. All right, just gonna dot some I's. Let's see if anybody else put any other questions here. Gonna shut me up again. I mean, for myself, I just have a piece of tape. Quiet. Quiet. There we go. Let's see. No, it doesn't look like we have anything else new here. I mean, really what I should have done is I should have the video asking for questions, but next time, guys. Next time. As well, maybe I should say this normal spiel. I love hearing what you guys were painting while watching this. And again, I'll give you out my email address, which is malorian99@hotmail.com. If you want to send me pictures of what you painted, you know, please do. I love seeing that. For a while, when I got those in, I was wondering if I should like add those in where I'll like go over and share my screen and we'll go over and take a look at it, but that's not what this is about. Another thing is too, I mean, maybe what I should be trying to getting to do going with these Paintisodes is maybe I should be trying to find more guests. You know, I keep on talking about trying to make better relations with the other channels and stuff. Maybe I should go back and see if the guys from Advanced Maneuvers want to come back or something like that. Oh, by the way, there's a good lead in. In the last video, somebody asked if I could get the Jade Gamercast guys back on, and it looks like the answer is no. The big reason is the fact that they're not both into the game. Nathan and Terry, they're playing it. However, Lang is not. So the idea that they're going to come in and be able to talk about War Machine is just not going to be possible. Plus, they're not really that big into it. So they didn't seem that interested. So I did ask, I did try and arrange it up, but you know, it'd be like if they asked me to come onto their show and talk about 40K. It's like, I got nothing I want to say. Whenever you find one paint that's not closed, then you get freaked out and you want to check them all. All right, there we go. So basically, I did the eyes. Figured out that he actually had ears, so painted the ears. This ear is a huge pain because I got to work around the shoulder pad. Now the eyebrows. That always seems to be another one that people miss. Which is kind of silly. You know, they'll paint the hair, they'll paint the beard, they might paint a mustache, and then all of a sudden it's like no eyebrows. You know, if you saw that on a person, it would just seem wrong. And it's the same thing on a model. If you don't take that time to put in the eyebrows, it's kind of like, guy's looking a little bit freaky there. You know, it's almost like one of those models where they don't paint in the eyes. They just kind of look kind of weird and off. There we go. So his face is done. So literally now, I mean, of course, it's not going to show up well, but the model really is done from my perspective. The options I'm thinking about now is I'm not that red gem. I love this red thing on the sword. Doesn't look quite right. So I'm thinking about if I should make that green or something else, but it's not the worst thing in the world. As well, his beard. You know, it's not almost that bad because whereas you have leather down here, there's not so much up here by his beard. So it's not competing with anything, but kind of wondering too if I should do something else to that to make it a little bit different. You know, I could put in some gray streaks, some white streaks. I could make it yellow to make it completely different. But the more I look at it, guys, I think I'm actually going to leave it the way it is. So we got to put on the Malorian wash, which I got to make some more of. I have been like scraping the bottom of this barrel. And the gross thing about that is that you get to see how bad Alberta water is. Like, it's not bad, but it's has all these minerals in it. And so here, I just like tilted this. And all this is water and black paint. And what do I have on the bottom of this container? Gray sludge. Again, now you won't be able to see it very well, but it's this gray sludge on the bottom of this. And this is just settling out from the water. Maybe it's from the black paint. That doesn't super make sense to me. But I always have to kind of like spend that time before I make the new pot of my patented Malorian wash to try and clean it up. All right, that's pretty good. So now we're just going to wash down Balder. Yeah. It's like liquid skill. I can't remember who coined that. Wash as being liquid skill. It works. Actually, I was thinking now, too, that gray sludge wouldn't even really matter on this model, seeing how a lot of it is gray anyway for the armor and stuff. And otherwise, we're going to be done. I'm actually wondering what Kieran Dunleavy is working on now. I know for a while he was working on his Skaven. He's probably actually painting up Malifaux. His question there probably is the hint of what he's working on. Then again, you wouldn't think that would take you much time, right? If you want to paint up Skaven, that's a couple of years dedication. If you want to paint up Malifaux, it's like, oh, well, that's a weekend. Then again, he's much better painter than me. And so whereas I just quickly throw together a model like this and be like, good enough, he probably would have spent all this time just on the gems. I should actually hide the gems from him. They're probably like an insult. You're an insult to gems everywhere. So anyway, there we go. We've been painting for that hour and a half. Wow, we actually kind of ran away with this. But we are done Baldur 2. I mean, I got to do basing, but that's really it. And that's awesome. Which means I'm probably going to play him a little bit more. Chromac might have to be next. Ugh, that model. But I'm going to go one last time to try and see if there's any new comments. And there is not that's showing up here. So anyway, if you do have any other questions that I did not have time to touch on, just write them down here. Or if you want to wait, I'm going to be doing this every single Tuesday now, guys, at 9 o'clock Alberta time. I'll be going back and doing the video the day before saying, hey, post your questions. So don't worry. And you know what? The best thing about this is I'll be able to do this a lot more reliably. I know the thing you really want to do with this is you want to have a schedule. You know, I have a War Machine Wednesday that I record every Wednesday and should get out every Thursday. When I was doing these on Monday, like I said, it was competing. Other things are going on, so I was starting to miss some. And I think this will be a lot better, where I can be hitting now, like 99% every Tuesday. So there you go. Thanks for you guys who did join in and ask some questions. I didn't really cough much at all, so the tea must have done its job. Maybe this disgusting chocolate drink is actually the right thing to go with. But there you go. Like I said, post down below what you've been painting. I love hearing it. And either way, we'll catch you later. Bye.